Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing today? This is Russell Mills, August 2nd. So, I hope everybody had a good day today. I hope. I'm going to play something. I'm play some music. Okay, everybody. It's me again, Russell Mills, August 2nd, 2022. We're honoring the life and death of Mr. William Felton Russell, aka Bill Russell. He was born February 12th, 1934, and he died on July 31st, 2022. Legend. We're going to play some clips. Might be a long video, so don't be mad at me if I'm playing a lot of clips of people that. So let's go.
Winner for the second straight season of the Most Valuable Player Award. A clutch performer, if ever one lived. He's the brightest star on the NBA.
William Felton Russell was a monumental figure in the history of the NBA. One of the greatest players ever. He blazed trails and broke barriers. Yet for all his accolades, one aspect of his transcendent career stands out. He has more titles to his credit than any other player in NBA history.
Russell is the greatest winner of all time, the most valuable player of all time, and no one can equal his record of 11 championships in 13 years.
Russell grew up in Monroe, Louisiana, before his family moved west to Oakland, California. He was told early that when challenged, he should never back down.
When we first moved into the project, and these four kids ran by, and one of them slapped me as he was going by. I went upstairs and told my mother, and we went all through the project looking for those guys. But you're going to fight every one of them one at a time. There was 5 of them. I lost 3 and won 2. And so I got home, cried, and she says, "Don't cry. You did what you had to do."
As a teenager in Oakland, he would blossom into a star at McClymonds High School and go on to play close to home at the University of San Francisco. His defensive abilities were unprecedented.
And there's a fight for the rebound. Taft recovers and he can move. Russell blocks his shot, and the Dons are showing their power.
Russell led his school to back-to-back NCAA titles and would cap off his amateur career by winning Olympic gold in Melbourne in 1956. Heading into the NBA draft that year, Red Auerbach of the Boston Celtics understood that Russell could transform his team. Auerbach engineered a trade dealing popular all-star Ed Macauley and talented rookie Cliff Hagan to St. Louis, clearing the way for the Celtics to sign Russell. And just as he had done in college, Bill Russell redefined the game defensively.
I remember thinking to myself, well, we not only got ourselves a rebounder, but it looks to me like he was such a great athlete for his size and such quickness. I said, I think we're getting a little bit more than we bargained for in Bill Russell.
Cousy, waiting for his man. Bounce pass to Russell. Basket is good in his mouth.
He can rebound, he can run, he can play defense. He made everybody around him better. It was the ultimate piece of the puzzle.
Just months after Russell joined the team, the Celtics were champions.
The all-around play of the Celtics is too much for the Hawks to overcome. Boston down St. Louis to win the NBA's World Series for the first time and become the professional basketball champion.
Russell would soon be joined in the league by another dominant force, Wilt Chamberlain.
The winning is only important if you beat the best. My friend Wilt Norman Chamberlain was far and away the best player I've ever played against.
Throughout the 1960s, their rivalry would become a centerpiece of the NBA game and captivate audiences. Over the years, it also became one of mutual respect. Wilt's statistics were astounding, but Russell kept collecting championships.
Well, after he got in the league, folks would try to compare us. I decided that I would never change the way I played for the Celtics.
Starting in 1959, Russell would lead the Celtics on a still unmatched run in American team sports. 8 consecutive league titles.
Bill Russell, 30 points and 40 rebounds.
Russell used to become physically ill before every ball game.
I mean, that's how much each particular game meant to him.
West all alone. Look at Russell come down. And what a play by Russell!
Was it important to dominate? Yes. It was important to dominate because one thing that you want to do to your opponents is to make them think, make them know they can't win. You shut a guy down or block a guy's shot and say, yes, we did that to you. If you come back, we'll do it again. That's it. It's all over. It's all over.
Everybody in the place is yelling and screaming. They deserve it, John. They're the greatest basketball team that was ever assembled.
But even as they dominated throughout the 1960s, Russell and his teammates also had to battle the degradations of racism. One such instance took place before a preseason game against the St. Louis Hawks, scheduled to be played in Lexington, Kentucky.
Casey went down to the restaurant in the hotel we were staying, and they would not serve it. We decided we weren't going to play.
Russell helped lead a boycott of African-American players from both teams. Russell's sense of justice extended beyond the world of basketball. He also sought to make a difference in society at large. After civil rights leader Medgar Evers was murdered, Russell flew to Jackson, Mississippi to help oversee the integration of youth basketball games.
Well, do you think that you will get some white kids to play basketball with Negro kids?
I think so. I don't see why not. My kids play with white kids, and nobody got hurt yet.
When heavyweight champion Muhammad Ali refused to fight in Vietnam because of his religious beliefs, Russell joined America's finest African-American athletes to support him.
When we had the summit in Cleveland to see how Muhammad Ali felt about going into the Army, Bill was right there, and with no fear.
There's so many things that he contributed by how he lived his life, how he dealt with his success, and the pride that he had. You know, we needed examples of people with pride.
Jackie Robinson was a hero to all of us. But my attitude was that Jackie took us from point A to point B. I was not going to revisit point A. I was going to start at point B.
By 1966, the Celtics had established themselves as a dynasty. As the legendary Auerbach stepped down, Russell was on the verge of making even more history. With his hiring as Celtics head coach, Bill Russell broke through a long-standing barrier and had to face his share of doubters.
As the first Negro coach of a major league sport, can you do the job impartially without any prejudice in reverse?
Yes.
the most important factor is respect. And basketball respects a man for his ability, period.
Russell would grow into his role as player-coach. After a playoff loss, the Celtics recaptured the crown in 1968. The following season, the Celtics were an aging team and found themselves fighting again for an NBA title, but this time as underdogs against a powerful Los Angeles Lakers team that had just added Chamberlain to its roster. It was only fitting that for these two longtime foes, the series would go the distance.
I can't help but wonder, how do you feel about going into another seventh game, this time on somebody else's floor?
We've done it before.
We get back out. For the last game, Jack Kent Cooke was the owner of the Lakers. He put out a sheet in all the seats. When the Lakers win the championship, the balloons in the rafters would fall down, and Chick Hearns would interview Elgin Baylor, Jerry West, and Wilt Chamberlain in that particular order. Well, I took this back to Russell.
Sam showed me that, and I said, well, a couple of things. It is humanly impossible for the Lakers to win the game tonight. The Lakers can't beat us. But it's going to be fun to watch them get those balloons out one at a time.
Naturally, Russell walked away from his final game a winner.
Chris, I'm here with Bill Russell. Bill, this must have been a great win for you. Exactly. I know it's hard to say what's in your mind right now, Bill, and it must have been a great win.
Well, this is such a great bunch of guys, and it's just been so fabulous the way they played for me. And it sounds all corny, to start talking like that, but I told these guys before the game, I don't care what happens, I would trade you guys for any guys in the world.
Bill Russell was a champion on the court, a powerful voice for equality, and a heroic example for all who followed.
A few young people here that would like to be president of the United States. You can do anything that you want to do, if you want to do it bad enough. Thank you very much.
Bill Russell, the man, is someone who stood up for the rights and dignity of all men. He marched with King. He stood by Ali and made possible the success of so many who would follow.
For the game's ultimate winner, Russell's legacy lives on through the NBA Finals MVP award, which bears his name.
I've never wanted to live my life to get accolades or honors or anything. I've tried to live my life doing what I think is right and for the right reasons. And I think that I did okay.
So that's Mr. Bill Russell, the legend himself. Like I said, he was in a time where there's a lot of racial stuff that was going on, and as people saw, again, champion 11 times. You know what I mean? What else you gonna say about this man? You know what I mean? Legend. Legendary man. I'm gonna see if I can play something else. 1 second. But this is how it is though. It's like I'm gonna play something else in a minute. If I can.
Welcome back to CBS Mornings. We are remembering the life and career of NBA Hall of Famer Bill Russell. The Boston Celtics legend died peacefully yesterday. He was 88 years old. Russell won 11 NBA championships and 5 MVP awards. And let's not forget, he was also the NBA's first black head coach. He was not only a champion on the court, but also a champion of civil rights, marching with the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in the 1960s. We spoke with Russell late last year in one of his last final TV interviews. Basketball hadn't seen anything like Bill Russell before. When Russell jumped, Russell soared. The kid from Monroe, Louisiana, who nobody wanted on their team because of the color of his skin. He redefined what the sport could be and eventually ended up being the teammate no one could play without.
Bill, this must have been a great win for you. Exactly.
Russell catapulted the Celtics and the city of Boston skyward in the 1950s and 60s, winning titles and breaking barriers at a time when keeping your dignity as a black man in America was easier said than done. So we're sitting here in Boston at the Garden. You helped bring glory here, 11 championships here. What does it feel like to be here on this court?
I never was comfortable playing for the Celtics because the number one paper was the Boston Herald, and they didn't like the idea of the NBA team having black players.
You brought championships here in a time when it was hard to be a black man. Was it difficult to be celebrated on the court, but then off of it, not treated equal?
First of all, was never separated on the court. When I got there, the star was Bob Cousy.
Watch Boston's Bob Cousy.
No matter what I did, Cousy was a star.
Bill Russell, another Celtic, taps it in.
I remember I had a game where I had 25 points, 25 rebounds, 10 blocks, and the Boston Herald said I was lucky I got to play with Cousy.
I'm not a basketball player. I am a man who plays basketball. Bill Russell, the man, is someone who stood up for the rights and dignity of all men.
Bill Russell wasn't just an icon for basketball fans to rally behind on the floor of the Boston Garden on any given night.
9 top Negro athletes meet with Cassius Clay.
He was an icon for Black America, using his profile to highlight racism and inequality. Here with Muhammad Ali and other top black athletes in 1967, backing Ali's decision refusing the Vietnam War draft. At the march alongside Dr. King in Washington. Do you remember in Kentucky where you and your teammates set out because they refused service at a restaurant?
Yeah.
At that time, why did you feel like it was important to do that?
Well, things are part of our preparations for the game. The team would have dinner together, and I had a couple of teammates from Kentucky, and they were going to have a separate pregame meal. So I told the coach, I'm not going to play tonight. He said, why not? I said, because of that.
Later that month, this letter found its way to Russell's mailbox. It was from Jackie Robinson, who broke Major League Baseball's color barrier more than a decade earlier, thanking Russell for boycotting the game in Kentucky.
Jackie was much more to him than most people knew. They just knew he was the first black player in the major leagues. I'm saying good, okay? But they didn't know he was probably the most intelligent baseball player in baseball.
Wow.
And Jackie would not take anything off anybody.
I tried to get as many as him. I couldn't get there.
Which championship was the most special to you? Was it the first one or was it the last one?
The first year I was player coach and we won the championship.
First black coach in the NBA. Is that right?
Yeah.
And you won as a player and a coach.
Yeah. Well, you got to understand something. My motivation was to make myself acceptable to my folks. I never felt like I was making a contribution. I was just doing the best I could.
Former President Obama paid tribute to Russell on social media. He wrote, "As tall as Bill Russell stood, his legacy rises far higher, both as a player and a person. Perhaps more than anyone else, Bill knew what it took to win and what it took to lead. On the court, he was the greatest champion in basketball history. Off of it, he was a civil rights trailblazer." Those are perfectly put words by former President Obama. He's such a legend. He accomplished so much on the court, but that pales in comparison to who he was off of it.
Right. And when, at the time, when players like Bill Russell had a lot more to lose, it's much easier now, I would argue, in 2022.
Agreed.
than it was back when Bill Russell and Jackie Robinson and Muhammad Ali and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar were playing. And Michael Jordan himself released a statement when he set an example for every black player that came into the league, including me, Michael Jordan.
And not just the players. I look at this table right now and I think if not for people like Bill Russell, you know, there was a time we're putting 3 African Americans on television, national television, on a morning show. Just
You're right about
wouldn't
that.
be talking about it.
And I have to say this, and I'll be honest. When these young players come in the league and they're blessed with everything, they're making millions, they're praised for what they do in their sport, and they refuse to use their voice and their platform for what's right, I think it's quite cowardly because you had men and women doing it in a time where it was tough because of sometimes their life was at risk, right? Just because they stood up for what they believed in. So a lot of young players, they should look at individuals like Bill Russell. He will be remembered, and we'll talk about it from him.
So that's obviously talking about the legendary Bill Russell. You see, this is how I'm going to say this, wrap this video up. I don't want to talk. I was just, like I said, I was going to play videos. Say this. This is how you want to be remembered from people when you die. You know, this is how you want to be remembered as a person. And people are saying nothing but good things about this man because of what he's done on and off the court when he was alive. How do you want to be remembered? How do you want your legacy to live on in this life and in the afterlife? So I asked this to everybody, and I say, this is, you know, we want to pay tribute to a man like this. And I agree about what that brother just said about in today's game, in today's society, where they're making a lot of money and they don't want to use their voice as much because they're so worried about the money. You know, there's other jobs in the world, there's other business ventures you can get into other than basketball. And even if you make your millions and you save some of it, and you know what I mean, you can still make a difference. And I'm not saying there aren't some people that make a difference. I'm sure they do charitable work or doing this or whatever. But back then, as that gentleman just said, they had a lot more to lose. And you saw what happened to Martin Luther King. You saw what happened to Malcolm X. You saw what happened to the Black Panthers. So, like I said, black excellence, everybody. Black people, this is how you want to be remembered. You don't want to be remembered as this ratchet, turned up son of a bitch that, you know, shooting at people, you know, doing this, and you know, you don't want to do that, bro. You want to live your life the right way. Is it easy? No, because Satan's always knocking on everybody's door upstairs to try to do wrong, telling you to kill this person because they disrespected you. The worst enemy is yourself. And, you know, and then especially if you don't have God in your life, that's even worse. So let's remember his legacy. God blesses him and his family. And I might have to dig a little bit more deeper and to find out, you know, I know that in his last days he was married to a white woman. He was married 3 times. Yeah, I believe he had 3 kids. But God bless him. You know, we're going to miss him, of course. Legend on and off the court. We're always going to remember him. But feel free to check out my YouTube channel, guys. Type in my name. It's Russell Mills, RussellMills, May 22nd, 2017. My first video. It's why black people settle for less. Everybody take care. Have a good night. Peace.